So here we are, event 2 for the upcoming race weekend at Donington Park. Today, Saturday, here at Donington. The last few days of practice have been, let's say, interesting, mixed. We had a bit of rain, I've had some gearbox issues, there's been lots of things to work through, let's put it that way. The main thing that we've been told about this morning, which I found quite interesting, was actually this morning we all came into a bit of a telling off from the clerk of the course about track limits. So we've had a morning sat in briefings and meetings with clerk of the course, Ginetta people, everybody telling us we're kicking up too much dust, we're trying to cut too many corners and things aren't going well. I was showing some good pace in the practice session, so I was kind of happy with that. I was a sort of P5 position most of the time. However, it was a really interesting thing, track positioning. It is so important, and I've learned that. The track positioning means that you're not getting stopped midway through a really good lap. So you're finding yourself in clear air to do a good run, the best run, because if you're faster than the person in front of you and they are slower than you and you're creeping on them, by the time you get to the end of the lap, your lap's shot because you've had to slow down to finish off the lap. So track positioning is massively important, and that is something that I've experienced first time at qualifying at Brands Hatch last event, but also I'm already experiencing it with the practice sessions now. So I'm really nervous about making sure I get the right track positioning when we go out and qualify in about, 20 minutes we're getting ready now. So time's ticking on, I need to go get changed. But yeah, super excited to get out there now. I know I've got good pace. The car is an absolute dream. It's doing really, really well. So I'm gonna crack over to hospitality, get myself a water, and then I go back in and get changed and get back in the car.
I came into the Donington weekend full of confidence and with less of the nerves that I had experienced from my first ever qualifying at Brands Hatch. I knew the track, the car was feeling good and the weather was perfect. I stayed focused on ensuring that I had good track position and that I had a clean lap so that no one else could mess me up. Everything was perfectly in place for a good result.
Right, okay. Now, go out.
After Max had informed me that I was running in P12, I wasn't happy at all. He tried to get me to focus, but I was so disappointed in myself that I saw red. And I was back out on track driving like an idiot, just throwing the car into every corner, forgetting everything I'd been learning due to my frustrations. Instead of just driving like I knew how to do, I was over-driving the car. As a result, at the end of the session I spat my dummy out. I refused to speak to anyone. This time I had no excuses. The pressure had got to me and I had choked.
Qualifying didn't go to plan. I was testing high up the rankings, I was testing in P5 and that's where I was hoping to be. My target was position 5 at the end of qualifying. I was so far down the order, I ended up at P12 and I'm absolutely, I'm pretty devastated to be honest. I know that there's more pace there, I know that I can do better than that, and not to perform in the moments when you need to is incredibly frustrating. So let myself down a bit there and I'm a bit annoyed, but I'm going to stay focused on the race that's coming up this afternoon. So that'll be at, I think it's 5:10 is the race. So we've got a long time now before the race starts. Long time to gather thoughts and get my head in the game for the race. But at least we can relax and enjoy some hospitality for a while and try and chill out. So, yeah.
After qualifying, I got out of my race kit, got myself a cup of tea and took some time to shake off the frustrations of qualifying. Max took the time to go through the V-Box data with me from the qualifying session to try and understand what I was doing wrong. There was no bones about it, I just drove the car like a rookie. After everything that both Max and James had been working so hard to teach me over the previous few weeks and months, I really felt like I had let them and myself down. My previous bad qualifying at Brands Hatch could be argued that I didn't really know what to do. But this time round, I was fully prepared, everything was right, I knew what to do and the pressure just got to me. As ever, Max took the time to calmly explain what I should be doing differently heading into the race later that day. In these moments of frustration and disappointment, it's more important than ever to have your friends and family around you at these race events. I would encourage anyone watching who's thinking of becoming a racing driver, especially in your first few race weekends, try to make sure you invite a few close friends and family with you to these race events. The emotional support really does make a difference, and when you're out on track knowing that you have people spurring you on and who are there between races to share the enjoyment and successes makes all the hard work worthwhile and the racing in general much more fun. There is also no doubt in my mind that you will meet and begin to build lifelong friendships with some of your fellow rookie competitors. Motorsport really does create a bond unlike anything I've ever experienced before. You and your fellow rookies are heading into battle together, and in real terms risking your lives with one another, all in the hope of chasing down the glory of that podium or victory. This weekend, however, I was treated to one unexpected VIP coming to support me for the very first time on one of my race weekends.
And my mum has actually come to see me today, and she's never seen the racing before, she's never seen the car before, and she's actually just having a look at it now. I'm going to see if she wants to actually get in.
Where is the racetrack? Is it over there?
Yeah, the racetrack's over there.
I can do this bit alright. This is when I just literally just
It's getting out that's harder.
And away we go. Sorted.
I have to give a huge thank you to my mum. Without her emotional support and puppy sitting duties, I would not have been able to embark on this amazing year in motorsport. I am so glad and grateful that she was able to come and join me for this Donington race weekend. I must also give a huge thank you to my partner Rachel. Without your support at every race weekend and your superior organisation skills, there is no way I'd be enjoying this year half as much as I'm doing. Thank you both so much. However, it was time to do what we were here to do.
I think we've got the grid fully lined up for those that are going to start from the grid positions rather than pit lane starts. Red lights on, red lights go out. Great start from Toby Trice.
I didn't get the best of starts. And then right in front of me, Roy Alderslade had stalled and I had to move quickly to avoid him. In the first corner skirmish, I lost a few places, but also gained one back as George Gallardo went wide and opened the door for me. At the bottom of the old hairpin, I got a great exit, which nearly put me into the back of Tom Hartley Jr. As a result of my lift to avoid Tom, George managed to get back through before McLean's. For the remainder of the first lap, we pretty much just went round in a train. But on the start of the second lap, Gilbert Yates, one of the other rookies, was off on the grass with what must have been some kind of mechanical issue. I was trying to close the gap on George, but I simply didn't have the pace. I was pushing so hard that I even took a bit of a trip through the gravel. At the end of lap 2, I missed the yellow flags and I went for a move on George up the inside at Goddard's. With everybody bunching up, I overtook on the outside at the exit, only to realise that I had to give the place back for foolishly overtaking under a yellow flag. Whoops. Not only had Gilbert gone off into the grass, but at the bottom of Old Hairpin, Tom Hartley nearly locked up into the back of another racer under a safety car when we saw that the recovery vehicle was also removing Lee Goldsmith, a non-rookie driver, from the gravel at Old Hairpin. We trundled round a few laps under a slow and steady safety car, and then we got back to racing. We were released, but I got a terrible start, being gapped by everyone in front and potentially coming under pressure from the cars behind me. Later round the lap, spotting George having a bad exit out of Melbourne hairpin, I went for a bit of a dive bomb up the inside at Goddard's, which it's fair to say George was not expecting. The track was getting hotter and hotter, and these road tyres were really going off. I was doing all that I could just to hang on. As a result, at McLean's, I had a big moment, and George, who had been bearing down on me for a few laps before, saw the moment to get through into the Coppice corner. I was very disappointed that I was losing so many places. But then my luck started to change. Ravi, another rookie racer, who had unfortunately clipped the inside of the bollard at Fogarty S's, and he was out of the race, bumping me up a position on the timing sheets. And then another rookie teammate, Danny Dwyer, lost the back end on the exit of Melbourne hairpin, bumping me up another position. It was clear that everybody's tyres were starting to go off badly with the heat, but I was just about hanging in there. Although I did lose another place to Roy Alderslade, I did not want to fight too much, as he was in the GTA class and the rookie championship points would not be worth risking in a battle with Roy to gain the overall race position. Then, to my luck, would you believe it, another rookie, Tom Hartley Jr., had gone off at McLean's. This was the corner that I had already had some issues with. We paraded round for the following few laps in that order. Interestingly, the race director did not put out another safety car for Ravi's incident. They simply waved us through on yellows, then showed us the green light straight after the location of the incident, even though there was a tremendous amount of debris on the track. Overall, my first race at Donington had been a huge challenge. I was extremely proud that I had managed to keep it on the track when so many other rookie racers had not managed to do so. So as I waved to my mum and Rachel, who had been watching from Redgate Corner, I slowed down for the cool down lap and brought the car back in on what was a very eventful race.
Race one, absolutely dripping with sweat. The inside the car was really, really hot. The ironic thing is I left my air conditioning on in the car. I didn't mean to, I just didn't notice. So I was down on power the whole race. Lots of fun, lots of incidents, lots of exciting racing, wheel to wheel stuff. Like, I really, really enjoyed that race. Started P12, ended up P9. There's a few people went off as well, so that definitely helped me. The tyres went off quicker than I thought. The rears, I just couldn't put any power down. I was sliding all over the place. Pretty hectic to keep control, but hopefully gain a few more places, get a better start off the line. Because I bogged down, I was wheel spinning like crazy, bogged down off the line, and I lost a load of space, so that was frustrating. It was an awful lot of fun. Tomorrow's another day. I'm starting higher up the grid tomorrow, so I'm actually starting P11. We'll see how we do. Well done to the lads who did well today. I'm just knackered and I want to stop being sweaty and have a shower now, so I'm going to go. Race day 2 of event 2. So we've got a race this morning at 9:10, so early start. It's about 5 minutes past 8 at the minute, so in the next half hour I'm going to go start getting ready and get in the car. And then later on this afternoon at about 3:30, we've got the second race out of the 3 for the weekend. My qualifying didn't go very well yesterday, put me mid-table. I was hoping to be at the top. So I'm starting in the middle of the pack on all my races pretty much. However, your grid position for race 3 is determined by your finishing position for race 2. So my aim for this race is almost to treat race 2 as if it's a qualifying session for race 3 and get myself as far up the order as I possibly can. It's going to be an exciting day. The weather's turned out an absolute dream. I don't know if you can actually see, but I mean, it's completely blue skies and nothing too hectic, although it was predicted that we were going to get thunderstorms. So I'm glad that's not happened, and we might get a dry race. It should be a really good fun session today. I'm trying not to bog down off the line because my wheels just spun up and I just stood still, so I'm hoping to make sure a bit more easy on the clutch next time. But yeah, I'm going to go start getting ready soon, so I'll catch up with you probably after the race now.
Unfortunately, for some reason, my V-Box data did not record race 2 from the inside of my car. Fortunately, a lot of it was captured on Ginetta TV on the YouTube channel, So thank you again to Ginetta for providing us with the material to use in this video.
The road, Angus Whiteside on the right as we look at it. The red lights go on, they go out now, we're away and racing here at Donington. And there's a storm, I'm afraid.
Off the line, I got a better start than the previous race, but I was struggling to get track position. Without knowing it, I was bumping doors all the way down the main straight with my teammate Tom Hartley Jr.
There is a steep downhill.
The race began as normal with a train of cars all waiting to spread out across the circuit.
In the early stages, there's more snatching and break.
A terrifying moment occurred on lap 2, when at one of the very fastest parts of the circuit, Roy Alderslade suffered a puncture as a result of a turn 1 battle with another driver and spun right across the track in front of me. I found myself in a 3-car battle for 11th place, which was my position at the start of the race, which I was keen to get back to. However, I was really having to use all of my best efforts to keep up with these non-rookie drivers.
Number 44, bit sideways and then out on the grass goes Ed Akers.
I found myself scrapping with Julian Wantley, who was a relatively experienced racing driver and who certainly wasn't going to be giving up the position without a fight. In my frustration to pass Julian, I pulled a move that could be considered a tad suspect. I cut a corner into the S's. On reflection, probably a bit more than I should have.
12th position, Julian Wantling in the blue car, gets a bit wide into the chicane and that's going to give Ed Akers the run.
But then I got past Julian at the Melbourne hairpin. Then I was dealt a bit of luck as Martin Wills, with his very distinctive Pink Panther car, came off the track at McLean's, fully opening the door for me to now chase down the next 2 rookies ahead of me, Danny Dwyer and Tom Hartley. I spent the majority of the rest of the race gaining lap by lap on my fellow rookies, which doesn't create much of great viewing. However, just as I caught them, there was a lock-up in front of me, and the final laps of the race ended with this as the result.
So we're coming from race 2, and as you can see, it's a bit of a mess. To be honest with you, from what I've heard from the team, it's actually not. It's all superficial damage. It's all just bodywork. There's nothing mechanical to the car that's been damaged. So we're just going to basically try and tidy it up, make it look a bit more pretty, and make sure it gets out for the next race. Situation was I was gaining and gaining on people who were in front of me, and just as I was about to sort of make my move, one of them actually sort of locked up and then eventually spun across the track in front of me. I had nowhere to go, just slammed into the back of them, well, the side of them, because they were already sideways across the track. So it was a pretty intense race. It was so much fun. I mean, I finished way down the order and I'm going to start right at the back of the grid for the next race now, but overall it was still an absolute massively enjoyable race. The car is all still okay. It's all this sort of superficial fiberglass that's all a bit loose and not really nothing mega, to be honest. It looks a mess, but it's very drivable still. It's absolutely fine. I did actually finish the race. I didn't do a DNF. I carried on racing right the way through. Managed to actually get one place up, which was nice. Pretty vicious place for someone to go off the track in front of you. We're going to get it, like I say, taped up for race 3, so it won't look as pretty, but it'll still be very drivable. But yeah, what an awesome race. That's been really great.
So Joe and the team got to work on making the front of the car safe and presentable. We had a long time to wait before the next race, so we spent some more time in hospitality and watching the other racing that was going on that day, such as the British GT and the Ginetta Juniors.
Starts from second on the grid then. Round number 6 of the Ginetta GT Academy. About to get underway. The red...
Starting from the very back of the grid, I didn't get the best start.
Another good start from Paul.
Race 3 began with a bit of a mess into Redgate Corner. At the end of lap 1, I left the door wide open for Martin Wills, who came through in his Pink Panther mobile, which was a tad demoralising. Until, having also overtaken Tom Hartley, Martin got a bit ambitious at the S's and lost control right in front of me, resulting in me taking both Tom and Martin's places higher up the order. This left me chasing down Robin Grimwood, another non-rookie driver in the GTA class. I was desperate to get past Robin, as I could clearly see the gap opening up in front of him, which would only make it harder for me and get bigger when I eventually got past him. I finally made my move 2 laps later, getting a better drag out of Goddard's down the main straight, maximising with a late break into Redgate Corner. I spent the majority of the middle stint of the race chasing down my old rival Julian Wantley, when all of a sudden, Roy Alderslade made a dive bomb on me into Redgate Corner. I realised at that moment how good of a racer Roy was. He had come through all the way from the back of the grid after finishing last due to his puncture in the previous race. Undeterred, I set after chasing both Roy and Julian. However, Roy pulled another dive bomb on Julian at Redgate Corner, which resulted in me being able to catch both of them back up. I finally made my move on Julian coming out of the S's, down towards Melbourne Hairpin. I made it stick and set about chasing down Roy again. I was making progress in chasing Roy down. But realising this was the last lap of the race, I had to make a quick move. Getting a better exit out of the S's again, similar to my move on Julian, I made a do-or-die lunge into the Melbourne Hairpin. I was incredibly grateful that Roy had seen me at the last minute and gave me the room to come through. My tyres were gone and we would have collided. However, having pushed so hard all race long, my tyres and the car could give me no more. I lost the back end under braking into the final corner of the race and lost 5 places in less than a few seconds.
This Clash Championship goes, that wasn't a disaster. There's been a spin at the final corner for Ed Akers.
I was devastated, but I realised that some rookies further down the order would still be coming through and over the hill shortly. If I didn't get across the line in time, that would mess up my championship points. After all, I wasn't really racing for points against the GTA non-rookies.
Absolutely amazingly enjoyable race. I was down the order, I was at the back, so I started off, I think it was about 19th, fought my way back up to P8, and I was battling with one of the pros, Roy Alderslade, who's a relatively experienced racer. We had a few backwards and forwards. I got in front of him, he went wide, I got past, and then he overtook me, and then I re-overtook him again just before the end of the race. And then on the last corner before the checkered flag, I spun. I couldn't believe it, and 5 cars all went through, so I lost a load of places, but the racing was absolutely, it was amazing. It was so much fun. What a fantastic way to finish a great weekend. And apparently I've actually heard that I've had a 5-second grid penalty or something because I was track limits. I didn't even know anything about that, so that's going to be an interesting one to figure out, but I'll have to speak to someone and find out what happened there.
Wills and Akers were not 100% within track limits.
What an absolutely amazing way to finish off, and Angus did such a good job of bringing home the win for the rookies. I'm over the moon about that. First time it's first time Toby's not won, and it was Angus, one of the rookies. I'm so happy, so that's great. Want to do a big thanks to all the Ginetta team, all the guys that want to race, particularly Max Coates, who's been coaching me through this weekend. He's been fantastic and he's been very patient with me when I've been making mistakes. I also want to thank Joe. Next time, Snetterton 300. Tune in then.
We truly hope you have enjoyed watching this slightly more in-depth look at a racing weekend than we were able to bring you from Brands Hatch. If you have, please do not hesitate to give us a big thumbs up. It really does help us with the YouTube algorithm and lets us know that we're creating content that you enjoy. As always, we'd love to hear your comments on the footage of the weekend. What do you think of the racing? How can we improve the footage we're bringing to you, the audience? And of course, do not hesitate to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And make sure you hit the bell icon to ensure that you're notified when new videos are released. So from me and all the team at Bilk, thank you so much again for watching, and we will see you next time at Race Event 3, returning to the dreaded Snetterton.